everybody. Happy Friday. Today we had a great conversation with Navin Dimond, Chairman CEO of Stonebridge Companies out of Denver, Colorado. Navin is an enthusiastic leader of our industry with an incredible spirit. He refers to himself as the accidental hotelier. Let's find out why. Hey Navin, another edition of Teague Talks. Thanks for joining me today. You looking well? I hope you and your family are safe.
We are indeed. We are safe and just doing what I know best, which is living in this hospitality world. But everybody's well, and sort of a time when people think of their health first.
You're in beautiful Denver, so hopefully you guys are getting out and exercising, going on hikes, walking, staying healthy.
Yes, there's plenty of that. I'm out on my road bike every weekend, and I love it. I love just getting out. And before the weather turns cold in December and January, I'm going to enjoy as much as I can.
I know you do. I'm sure you can't climb a mountain at the moment, but Kilimanjaro or K2 or Everest.
Oh, not doing any of those right now, but I miss it.
I know you. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. How's your girls? Are they good?
The girls are great. Everybody's lives are, been reconfigured, but everybody is good.
Well, I'm sure I'm sure you've probably, like the rest of us, been forced to change things in life, but maybe there's some positives that come out of it, right? Spend a little more time with the family. They get to have you a little more at home than normal.
Yeah, that's a good question, Teague. I think for most of us, myself included, I would never have done some of the things I'm doing today, right? And one of them is, frankly, enjoying my home the way I'm enjoying it today. And the lack of travel is allowing me to do things with family that I hadn't done, and practicing a professional life that is truly different. Because with, pre-COVID, I would have done this. And I have found some silver lining in my new world, in all of our respective new worlds.
Such as, give me an example. What are you doing with the family that you thought you'd never do?
So our younger daughter, who's not so young anymore, but she works in New York City and she's working remotely. She's home. And, so Sonia's been with us for 5 months and just spending the time. But you're spending the time a little bit differently, right? You're spending a time with who's really your child, but really an adult. So that adult time, I find, is quite different than you had your little girl who was your kid. And I think that is special, because otherwise, would I have done this? No, she wouldn't have had the opportunity, nor would have I. So I think that's where the silver lining is.
I couldn't agree more. And we got to embrace those moments that we never would have gotten. Yep. So good for you. What'd she do in New York?
She's a buyer for Bloomingdale's.
She going to come and work for the hospitality industry anytime soon?
Yeah, my fingers are crossed, but she did her undergrad at Cornell, and she definitely has that hospitality bug in her. But she's got this fashion thing right now. I'm like, okay, go explore your fashion thing, and that's okay. But
so let's keep going. How did you? And that's how she's going to get into this business. How did you get into this business?
I'm an accidental hotelier. I'm not by design. I didn't go to Cornell or any of the other great hotel schools. I fell into this accidentally, and maybe like many of us, I came via the route of real estate and fell into the hotel class of real estate. Completely accidentally. So, but I'm loving it.
Yeah. What year did you get started? It's in the early 90s, right?
I started the company in 1991, so 29 years.
Yeah. So you've been through a couple of these recessions then?
I have indeed. Frankly, I started the company, and my basis of starting was during the days of the RTC and the S&L crisis, and some people viewing may remember that. And there are some similarities. So the RTC, which was the Resolution Trust Corporation, was started by the federal government, and it was its purpose was to take bad real estate that the savings and loans had made loans on, and that's its goal, was to take it to and exit that real estate as efficiently and with the least loss as possible. And you think of today, the government is taking an active role in a different way, but really with stimulus via the Federal Reserve. So there are some similarities, but what we're experiencing today is substantially more than the late 80s and early 90s.
But help me, the RTC days, the government sort of took all the loans back, and then they took it, and then they broke it up and sold it. Whereas today it's the opposite. They're giving everyone money to say, here, hold them as long as you can. Nobody wants this stuff back.
No, that's a good distinction, right? So I would argue today's model is better because if you're really, you're giving the banks the latitude to make decisions. Who knows the real estate the best? And who knows the best is the owner, the banker, the people who've underwritten versus creating this new organization that really doesn't know this real estate, and they're forced to make these decisions, and they're making them with not the best intel. And if you don't have the best intel, you can't make the best decision. I would also say, to me, if you leave the debt aside, leave the equity aside, and just think of the real estate, the property. If the property wins, everybody else will win. And I think it's one of those things that you have to tell your bankers, you have to tell yourself and say, let's make the center of attention the real estate, the hotel, and make it win. And we'll all come out better. So it's been one of those things that you talk to your lenders about and say, hey, let's think about it like this.
So how are your conversations with lenders going?
Generally pretty good. Most lenders are understanding. I think there's always a few that have challenges. It's not like Navin manufactured this situation. None of us manufactured it, but it's here. You've got to deal with it, and it is what it is, and deal with it. So most of the lenders have been, if I went back sort of five and a half months from now, and you went to your lender and you said, hey, I need this forbearance. Most lenders were pretty, the 3-month forbearance was really easy. The 6 was, a better relationship got you 6 months. And now, you're saying, I need an extension of this forbearance. And those conversations are not as easy as the first conversations. Are you getting there and getting some concessions? Yes. Not the full concessions I think that people are expecting. And part of that is when this started, I would have been one of those that said, in 6 months, we should be okay. And today, I'm going to tell you, it's not 6 months. It's going to be longer, right? And now that we have more knowledge, a better understanding of the situation, how do you plan for it? Am I planning for another 6 months, 12, 18, 24? It's a little bit about pick a number. I know it's long versus short, but I don't know the exact timetable. I don't think anybody does.
And that's the hardest part, because I agree with you. We could plan if we knew, we could plan for it.
Yes, it is indeed the hardest part, because if you're trying to say, well, here's how much cash I need to support the real estate. Well, how do you know how much cash you need? Because you don't know how long it's going to go on for. So you've got to be conservative in your approach, and usually, at least for me, we're like, okay, let's assume it's going to go a little longer than we really think, and that's the cash that we need.
So dare I ask, how much cash are you planning? How long? 12 months, 24 months, 36?
So the devil's in the details, but right. So what is the cash? Is it, if you're just looking at the negative cash flow post debt service, how long does it take you to get there? Forget about making return on your equity for a second, right? And I think it depends. Certain types of locations, types of assets are going to come back faster than others, and they already are. We've seen that where you've looked at urban assets are doing the least well, and if you look at roadside, small towns, suburban are doing better. And will that continue for a while, or does the urban leapfrog the others? My gut says the urban does not leapfrog the others, at least for the next 12 months. And I think the urban is really driven by so many different things, including business travel, group convention, sports. You look at major metropolitan areas around the country, and what they're really driven by, the demand generators are the ones that are hurting the most today. Hence, those markets are hurting.
So is that going to change your investment thesis? I mean, you like everyone have been urban, downtown, big, better.
It's a great question, Teague. Does it change my investment thesis? Because in the last 12, 15 years, we've done a lot of urban hotels in the urban core. And I think we still believe in the urban core. This will pass. And that's where sort of the optimism is that will COVID, there'll be a, sort of a post-COVID era? Yes, there will be. I don't know exactly when that point comes, but it will come. And at that point, do people still enjoy going to basketball games and football games and stadiums? In a lot of cities, they're in the downtown area. Whether there's some shopping and restaurants and reasons to be in an urban core and museums and on and on. I think the answer is yes. And then the other big one is conventions. Conventions and meetings, most convention centers are located in the urban core. And as that business comes back, that face-to-face, which I think is an innate human need, we all have it in us. And we will gravitate towards that the moment we feel comfortable doing it. And the moment those meetings actually start, that people are organizing them. I think we'll be there. All of us will be there. And some of us may go right in, day one, we're 100% in, and some may sort of graduate in and as they get more comfortable, but over time, we'll all get comfortable.
Dare I ask, when is that going to be? I mean, we have a conference in March, next March. Are we going to be showing up to Atlanta in next March?
I hope so. I'm very hopeful, but is it can I give you 100% on that? I don't think I can. I'm not sure anybody can. Are we hopeful that we get there? I'm very hopeful. But this whole thing is the medical side of this is the biggest crux of it, right? And when we get a vaccine, when we get the appropriate medications, and the vaccines that and one is just getting it, they'll feel good, and the second is going to be sort of layer 2, layer 3 is how effective is it? When is it available? Can I have it? In some cases, people say, do I want it? They're like, well, I'm not comfortable yet or whatever. Just like the flu vaccine. How many, what percentage of the people actually get a flu vaccine? It's not that big.
Yeah. So I agree with that. And then what other fundamental changes are going to happen in our industry, right? The big box convention hotels are going to take forever to come back. So wow, what's your crystal ball show for our industry?
The industry, again, I think we have to sort of slice it and dice it a little bit. The big box, the really huge boxes, I think they come back the slowest, but they will come back. The leisure travel, which is exactly what we're seeing in this summer. Leisure travel, resort locations, drive-to locations are doing the best. I think they will continue to do the best until there's sort of a full recovery, because I think people still want to get away.
How many you have? I'm making 63 hotels right now. How many will you have a year from now?
More. Yeah. We'll have more hotels.
I bet you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you will.
It's if you've honed your craft, right, in this area, this is what you know best, and you should be able to, if you have the conviction, and I guess a little bit of sort of a number of C's I call it: conviction, capital, and courage. You should be able to do better. And for all, I mean, if we've been doing this for, I've been doing it for 29 years under the Stonebridge umbrella, and over 30. God, I hope I've learned a thing or two that I can apply, right? And also having gone through the cycles, you can understand it maybe just a little bit better than the guy next door.
So, talk to me about development. I mean, you develop a lot of things. What does development look like in the future? Are you going to develop in the future? You're not.
We will develop, but I think it'll be at a much slower pace than we have historically. I don't see us developing at the pace we used to, nor is the need there, right? Is the demand there, and how quickly will the demand come back to the point where we need new hotels, more hotels? I think that's a while. So one is the demand there. Secondly is, is the capital there? Is the capital there to support this business? And, that may take a while as well. So there may be a natural slowdown in development, and maybe it's just as well. You've got to get the industry healthier. So you need, I would argue that you need less supply, let the industry heal. And we can all, I'm a developer, but I also recognize the health of the industry overall, not just for my assets, but I think overall, I think it's critical.
Which I think should happen organically, right? Because it's really tough to get a construction loan. I don't know if construction costs are going to go down. Why are you going to build something that the day it opens is not worth what you paid for to build it? So construction costs have to go down significantly. And that will all happen, but I think it's further out rather than shorter. So that'll give us time to absorb what we have, right?
I think that's right. I mean, the sort of the natural cybernetic sort of system that we live in. And you're exactly right. Is the equity there? Is the debt there? And is the desire and the will? Because we are all of us in this business, we've been rattled to a certain degree. If you own hotel real estate, there's a part of you inside that, that little voice creeps up and says, is this where you want to be? Is this what you want to do? Will it be okay? We all ask those questions. And, and we all answer them probably slightly differently. But I think it is and I think your word was, is there a natural path of slowdown for development? I think the answer is yes.
So talk about the seasonality of our industry, right? I mean, we're coming into fall and winter. That's never the best times of the year. What do you think that's going to look like?
My gut says it's going to be rough, and rough for a number of reasons. One is just generally it's a slower time. There's less cash flow. Secondly, depending again on the medical side of this equation is with the vaccine, but it's the time when you normally have your flu season. So there's a normal flu season, and sort of in the crosshairs of this COVID thing, are the implications of that and the impact of that even worse, right? And that we got to really be careful that it doesn't get out of control. So I think the winter is the fall and winter are of concern.
Yeah, we got to make it through not just this, but then we got to make it through the winter. So to your point, what started out as a 3-month gig is going to be years, right?
Yeah, I think we are talking about years and not months. Yes.
And is the corporate travel, we need the corporate traveler to come back, right? What about where everybody's working remote now? Everybody's working, that's going to have impact. Businesses aren't making money, so they don't want to spend to send their employees. They like having the low expenses. That's going to take a while.
Yeah, that does take a while. The part of that is, so are those folks saving money that are not traveling? Yes, they're saving money. Is it optimizing their business? Probably not. And the other part of today is we're doing what we have to do. We're doing a Zoom call, right? We're not sitting face to face. Why are we doing this? Because that's all we have. That's the tool that we have to get by, if you will. And I think most businesses are doing what they can to get by. And I don't think Zoom is going to replace the face-to-face, that the face-to-face will go away. No, it's not going to go away. Will the Zoom and other platforms be an alternative? Occasionally, I think it's a good alternative, but I'm not a big believer that complete remote working really is sustainable. My general sense is it's not.
So talk about your team. You were probably old school too. I know you're a workaholic, so I'm confident you've been in the office every day throughout this thing. But how about your team members? Are they coming in, or are they still all working remote?
Yeah, so and you're exactly right. I've been in the office every single day, and the low count is probably 15, 18 people at the lowest time during this period, but we are all back today.
Okay.
100% of our team members are back in the office, and we have a large space. I think on average is 500-600 square feet per person, so you can plenty room to spread out. But the collaboration, the teamwork, the things that get ignited and the ideas that get generated, particularly in these times, is so important because we're in some ways reinventing our business. It's on the fly, and you sit around a table and you're looking at each other going, but nobody's got the answer. Nobody's seen this movie before. We're in it. We're trying to figure out what's going on, and everybody's got a good idea. And one person says something, and the other one pulls a thread a little, pulls it longer and goes, "Hey, how about this? How about that?" But a lot of these things happen face to face, or sometimes it's body language, or what are you really reading into this? Which is why I think the first face-to-face interaction and being in the office is really helpful, and certainly been extremely helpful for us. We've been able to tighten down things, think creatively, and quickly, right? This isn't one where, let's talk about it next month. No, you got to talk about it in the next 5 minutes and figure it out.
Or you're going to be behind.
Or you're going to be behind. You're behind very quickly. Yeah. We're already in some respects behind because this thing caught everybody by surprise. And it is truly different. And how you operate a hotel today is very different. You think of a full-service hotel. Is a full-service hotel a full-service hotel today? I would argue it's not. It just became limited service. We just closed off your food and beverage. You closed off your meeting rooms. So what do you have left? You got rooms on the front desk.
Talk to me, sensitive subject. Talk to me about your Four Seasons Nashville. I mean, what was that? Top is on the bottom at the moment, right?
Yeah, it is. So, this is a deal where with a takeout on the deal. So we've got, we're not carrying the construction risk on that project. And as soon as it's done, we take it out. And, we keep tabs on the project. In fact, I was out there a few weeks ago, but we're still very high on Nashville. And we're high on that product in terms of for that market. And, we're going to stick to it. We don't have any choices, but we just stick to it.
Right. Head down. Talk to me. I know you're heavily involved in different universities, and I know you own assets in universities. So it's a hot topic now with schools starting back. But tell me how your take is on university markets.
Complicated. It's like even this morning I was watching, I forget what was a number of universities announced that, boy, they're going to temporarily close again and too many cases of COVID. Yeah, the one thing I can tell you, how the universities are starting the semester or the quarter and how they're going to end is not going to be the same. They'll all have to change. They'll change on the fly. And, they're just like us and probably most other industries. They've never had to do this before. And they're trying to invent and create and change and be adaptable to whatever is in front of them. It's difficult. And, one of the things we're seeing, kids want to be, on the campus. And there's a couple of universities where actually my undergrad alma mater, Washington State, as an example, they're not having in-person classes, but kids are showing up. They're on campus. And typically at their apartments, and it could be a group of gals, a group of guys, and said, "Hey, we've got our lease," which they probably had it some time ago. Let's just show up. And the kids are showing up. They're there. They've got their apartment. There's 4, 5, 6 of them in a room, in an apartment, and they're trying to get as close to possible as the pre-COVID experience. And part of that, I think, is just being around the campus. And you can study from anywhere and have your laptop and go to work. But it's a challenge. And, any one of us, if we were that kid and it was whatever year it was in college, I want to be on campus. I want to be with my friends. I don't want to be at home because I've already been robbed of so much of this experience. I'm going to try and maintain as much as possible.
Yeah, you got to feel for the kids. What are you hearing from your alma mater, Cornell? Everybody's a big Cornell hotel, and I know you're on the board. So what's happening at Cornell?
Again, similarly challenged. Classes sort of a mix of hybrid classes, completely online classes. So it's a mix, and I would suspect Cornell will have to probably do the same. It'll it'll have to iterate its model as time goes on and figure out what exactly works and what doesn't. One of the challenges you're seeing is the cost. Parents look at it and go, why am I paying the same thing for this online experience? The reality is this online experience is costing the universities more money, not less money, between additional technology. And then the other side of it is your expenses really don't go away. You still have your faculty and your staff, and those things just don't go away. So it's different. And some people are feeling like, I'm not getting my value, but you do have to look at both sides of the equation.
That's a great point, because I candidly wasn't thinking on the sides of the school. So that's a good point. I know you're involved at Denver University. You're heavily involved there. I think you guys are even helping build dorms and the like. Tell me how those projects are going and what you're learning.
So I just toured. Our family foundation just completed a 500-bed dorm project on the campus, which is designed for. In this case, we did it for first-year students, which first-year students don't get anything new, and we thought that was important. Building just opened. This will be the first inaugural year, and touring it. I just toured it yesterday, and looks wonderful. And unfortunately, out of the 250, of the 500 beds, it was supposed to be 2 per room. It's only going to be 1 per room this year. So they'll all be singles, and there'll be 250 kids in there.
How does the math work on that?
How does the math work on that? It's again same thing I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah,
it's half as good, the math. You've only got 250 kids in the building versus 500. So the math doesn't work as well for the university. So where does that have to come from? Because the student's not paying twice as much for room and board because they've got a single that is designed for a double. That doesn't happen. So it's a difficult time for everybody. We think of our business in the hotel world. Well, you ask any university and they'll tell you that there's a lot of challenges for universities and colleges.
I know. I mean, so what's it going to take for us to get back to some sense of normalcy? Certainly universities, but okay, in our hotel world, occupancies and rates and transactions. What do we need?
That's a loaded question. What do we need? The first thing I say is we need the vaccine, right? And then I think once you have the vaccine, other things follow, and we'll feel better and better. And it includes, if we feel better, we'll travel more. If we travel better, the EBITDAs get better. If the EBITDAs get better, our lenders feel better. And the lenders feel better, our equity partners feel better. It's a sequential sort of order of things. And we need every piece of those. And, it starts with the vaccine is in my world. We need that first.
I love it.
Then we're all just guessing, and we're all, we're carrying an element of risk that we don't want to really carry.
Yeah, totally agree. So give me, look at your crystal ball. Give me some good news, spirit of mankind kind of stuff of, how we're going to, something positive to hold on to.
So we as mankind,
here we go,
will come out of this better than we started. So going in versus leaving this period, this COVID period, we will be better. And here's why I think we'll be better. And maybe this is sort of a really high level sort of way of thinking is the world was getting, or the human beings on the world were getting somewhat irresponsible. We were getting fat, we were getting happy. That's not the entire world, but a lot of the world. And whether it was relationships, whether it was the environment, all kinds of things. And I think God just decided, you know what? I'm going to teach you guys a lesson. I'm going to shake this globe and I'm going to put you back down. And I'm going to put this thing called COVID on you. I'm going to tell you to go figure it out. And it's going to take you a while. You will figure it out and you'll come out better on the other side. And whether it's your personal relationships, your interest in the environment, your personal health, all kinds of things, we will come out better. And I'm really a big believer in this. The spirit of mankind is really strong. And there are times when for all of us, myself included, when you don't think as deeply as you need to. And whether it's about people, environment, financial, health, whatever the case may be, we just don't do that. And I think this has given us enormous amount of time to reflect, self-reflect. We're all at home thinking about things, doing things. And I certainly have, and said, you know what, I've got to do better. And we've all got to do better, and we will do better.
I love it. I couldn't have teed that up any better. I'm going to end on that. I'm going to go hug my family.
You absolutely should. And we all should, right? There's something about that. Why not?
I mean, Navin, you're a true gem. I greatly appreciate you coming and joining me on this. Stay safe, stay healthy. Keep that positive spirit up. You're a leader. Tell as many people as you can to listen to you. I'll try to do the same.
And you too. Stay well.
I love it. Thanks, Navin.
Take care.